joint venture between Stark Industries and the federal government, the Department of Damage Control, will oversee the collection and storage of alien and other exotic materials.
Binarily augmented retroframing, or BARF. God, I gotta work on that acronym. An extremely costly
What's going on,
method.
moviegoers? So if you're new to the channel, my name is Christian and welcome to C-Roll Productions. You guys, so I have an interesting topic to talk about today. Now, I was watching Hyper RPG and Hector Navarro, Agustin Rios, and Adam Lavick, right? They dropped their spoiler review for Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, if you guys don't know Hyper RPG, they're one of the best YouTube channels out there. I highly suggest you guys check out their content. But Adam brought up an interesting point of view with Tony kind of being responsible for creating these Spider-Man villains. And I was like, I didn't necessarily think about that. Because dating back to, because we all know Tony Stark, before he became Iron Man, he has a reputation of not being the greatest person. And, you know, creating Ultron and things of that nature, you really start to think how many people his company, Stark Industries, have kind of screwed over in the long run. Dating back to Spider-Man Homecoming, Adrian Toomes. Now, if you think about what his main motive was and why he became the Vulture, it was because of Tony Stark, really. Think about it. He was the CEO of Toomes Salvage. Tony Stark pretty much destroyed his entire business. Post-battle cleanup after the events of the Avengers, right? Toomes had a city contract to salvage everything, right? That's his job. He's a salvager. You know, he's a hardworking man trying to support for him and his family. But the Department of Damage Control, they oversee the collection and the story of the alien technology, which was over 1,500 tons of Chitauri weapons. Now that was a big job for Adrian Toomes. That was huge for him and his crew. Huge. And they lost out on a government contract. And you can see why he would be so pissed off. And then fast forward, you have 8 years later, he used the remains of the Chitauri and Ultron Sentinel technology to become a black market weapons dealer. And ultimately created the Vulture Suit. So if Tony Stark never stepped in and damage control never got in the way, we wouldn't have gotten in Adrian Toomes' Vulture. But then also, who are the people he worked with, who worked for him? You have the Tinkerer and you have Shocker. Also Spider-Man villains. So realistically, he created 3 Spider-Man villains in Spider-Man Far From Home. Spider-Man Homecoming. 3 of them. And then you go to Spider-Man Far From Home, you have Quentin Beck, a.k.a. Mysterio. Jake Gyllenhaal's character. Fantastic. I loved him so much in that movie. God, the movie was so sick. He pretty much was a former Stark employee, Stark of Stark Industries, and assisted in the binary augmented retroframing prototype. Now, what is that? Now, do you remember the scene in Civil War? And I love how they tied it in. It's crazy. I love how Marvel Studios has the ability to tie in things to certain films. The beginning of the movie where Tony's talking to the kids at the MIT, and he's has this whole illusion of younger Tony and his parents. But that's just an illusion. That's something called BARF, which technically isn't a creation of Quentin Beck. He assisted on that. He assisted on that creation. And then let me quote. This is a quote from Quentin Beck in Spider-Man Far From Home. This is from his mouth. The holographic system I designed, a revolutionary breakthrough with limitless applications, which Tony turned into a self-therapy machine and renamed BARF, his life's work. He renamed my life's work BARF, and then fired me saying I was unstable. So you can imagine how he feels. Fired from Stark Industries after helping assist this revolutionary technology, and then fired. You can imagine how Quentin Beck would feel. He'd feel some type of way, right? And then he recruited other Stark employees who had the same motivations towards Tony Stark. So Tony Stark has a way of creating his own demons, not only his own demons, but Spider-Man's demons as well. He technically created 2 of the Sinister Six. 2 of them, Vulture and Mysterio. Now, hence, we don't know if Shocker is going to be part of the Sinister Six yet. He could be just a smaller villain. But I'm so curious to see what direction they go with Spider-Man 3. Like, and especially when you're talking more of a weapon-based. You have, who else? Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. Dr. Octopus, who's more of a weapon-based. We don't know if his weapon base is more of a Chitauri or a Stark Industries type thing, because before he was Iron Man, he sold his weapons to everybody, pretty much making a name off of selling weapons. And then you have Scorpion possibly as well. So I'm so curious to see where they go with this. Tony Stark creating Spider-Man villains. How do you guys feel about that? Because obviously it's a different take. It's a hugely different take on the characters. But now that Tony's gone, you know, maybe we might see more of an original base of his villains for Spider-Man. Just naturally being Spider-Man villains and not Tony Stark influenced villains. Because that's what Mysterio and that is what the Vulture are. They're influenced by Tony Stark. They have emotions. They have these mixed feelings about what he did in order to put them in the situation that they're in today. So I just found that to be pretty interesting. I was like, damn, well, Tony Stark did create 2 of the Sinister Six. How many more does he create? You know, with Tony Stark being dead as well, it's going to be pretty interesting. But I thought I'd discuss this and talk it over with you guys in this video because I found it to be intriguing that, you know, Tony plays a pivotal part in creating some of these villains. You know, he's created a lot of villains, to be honest with you. A lot of villains. Ultron, that was a huge villain. Almost destroyed the entire fucking world. The Mandarin as well. The real Mandarin, you know. It's Whiplash. See, it dates back. Like, it dates way back to all the Iron Man movies. He really creates his own villains because of the situations that he did from his past life. It really came back to bite him in the ass. It did. But I found it to be pretty interesting, you guys. I'm still hoping we do get a Sinister Six further down the line. We're talking Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man, yeah, whatever. Because we don't know the whole contract between Tom Holland and Marvel Studios and Sony. But I'm pretty sure this summer they will renew it and continue to give us more Spider-Mans and have Spider-Man be one of the faces of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which I cannot wait to see because I love Tom Holland's Spider-Man and what he was able to accomplish so far in the MCU. Good stuff. But post your comments down below, you guys. Let me know what you guys think about Tony creating Spider-Man villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Do you think we'll go even further with Dr. Octopus and Scorpion and things of that nature? Post your comments down below, you guys, and thank you for taking time today for watching Zero Productions. Peace.